And so we have, at long last, our Super 8 lineup is complete thanks to Bangladesh pulling off a rather low scoring thriller of a match in this case. And I mean, to be fair, you can say that Nepal threw this game away, but it was also some very, very, very good bowling by the Bangladesh bowlers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bangladesh must have felt at home in these conditions. The low and slow wickets, the seamers taking the early wickets, and then spinners chipping in later on. But I think I have to credit Nepal for the fight that they have given, not just to Bangladesh, but even to South Africa also. They were unlucky that their game against Sri Lanka was washed out. Had they won that, the confidence would have been different. Things would have been completely different. So, yeah, they would feel hard done by. But then I think Bangladesh have pretty much deserved to seal that Super 8 spot. Apart from that game against South Africa, wherein they did manage to fight a lot. They've sealed those three important victories. That not just shows that they're worthy of a Super 8 spot, but that also in a way proves that Bangladesh's stocks in T20 cricket are rising. And one of the main reasons why it's happening is that it's their bowling department. Whether it's Tanzim Hasan Shakib, Mustafizur Rahman's experience, then Taskin Ahmed is also pretty much coming to his own. Then Shakib has done well in those previous matches. He scored a crucial half century against Netherlands, and here also he got a couple of wickets, or even scored an important 17, which was one of
Yeah.
Bangladesh's highest score in this match. In the 106 that they scored against Nepal. So yeah, I think Bangladesh team as a collective, I think they have done well. Something that their neighbors can learn from them.
No, absolutely, you are spot on there. And by the way, if you're talking about the bowling, really, I was checking, doing some number digging. Tanzin Hasan Shakib has bowled 21 dot balls, which is the most in any match in the history of T20 World Cups. That tells you everything. And by the way, Mustafizur bowled 20 in the same match. There is 41 dot balls in challenging conditions. At that point, only you're thinking, if you're Nepal boss, we threw the game away there. And I mean, if you wanted a summary of how tough the conditions were and how well the Bangladesh players were adjusting to those conditions, that 19th over from Fizz, it was all the same ball. It was outside the off stump channel. It was a cutter, and after that, like the batsman was just have ho, trying to swing it at nothing happening whatsoever. When he does finally get back to ball, well, he ends up getting a wicket of the last ball. So I think it was tough batting conditions for sure. Because I remember looking at that score and thinking, Nepal, if they bat sensibly, then you may actually have a match here. But even Nepal, I think, struggled with the way the conditions were. And Bangladesh definitely bowled much better. I mean, it tells you everything of how confident they were in the conditions or how at home they felt that they threw the last over to Shakib. Rare you do it for a spinner, but I mean, see how we finished it off so effortlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we were talking about the conditions in New York at the Nassau County International Cricket Stadium, that there was invariable bounce. Batters found things very tough. The going was very tough for them. Then we looked at Florida also. It was anticipated that it's going to be the flattest pitch in those conditions. But then, Pakistan really, made a mountain task of it. And then, you're looking at the West Indies conditions now. They're also, I think, proving to be very inconsistent. Someday there is a team that's scoring 200, or in fact, it's just the second time that, in the Sri Lanka Netherlands game that a team has managed to cross 200 here. It's the highest total in the tournament so far, which Sri Lanka have scored. So that's where I think one thing is for sure that in this T20 World Cup, the teams will really have to adapt to the conditions. You don't really have to, focus on slam bang conditions. Sometimes even a 150 or a 160 can very well be a match winning score. And that's where I think, this is just a personal opinion. I think India's strategy might just be handy. While India have managed to, or maybe, India have made sure that, they have changed their template, which is just about, going for the runs despite losing the wickets at regular intervals. Best example, what happened against Pakistan. Even though, wickets were falling, India still, wanted to go for the runs. But in these West Indies conditions, I think India's the template which they had a couple of years back, that if they lose a couple of wickets early on, then they just might have to play that, someone might just have to play that anchorage role, so that they can get to the that required 150 or 160 total. So that's where I think the conditions in the Super 8 are going to be pretty much like that only. And I'm really excited to see that, because what it does is that it makes each and every team worthy of a or maybe worthy of a to stay in contention for a semi-final spot. So whether it is
Yep.
USA, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan for that matter, who are unbeaten so far, and South Africa, who have done so well, despite winning all the, like, 4 matches from maybe the jaws of defeat, if I have to say, except from the game against Sri Lanka. So I think it makes every team a solid contender for a semi-final spot, and we are really, really in for a treat in the Super 8 stage.
No, no, absolutely. I think what you are going to get now, at least in the West Indies, are a little more consistent conditions. Even if they're going to be slow and sluggish, they'll be consistently slow and sluggish. And that was our problem with New York, right? It was, I'm sorry to say, borderline dangerous conditions at times. Some balls would shoot up, some would shoot down, stay low. So you didn't really know what to expect. In the West Indies, okay, there are going to be some venues where, I mean, look at today, there was not even a 120 score that was defended and defended quite easily, I may add. So I think you will see now going forward, you'll see, I think, certain teams will definitely fancy their chances. Bangladesh are a team that you don't often associate with quality T20 cricket. But in such conditions, they become a dangerous side. Afghanistan become a dangerous side. As you mentioned, the USA could actually be party poopers for some teams. So now we at long last have our Super 8 lineup. And of course, what it also does, by the way, is make the last game of the group stage a pretty inconsequential one. I mean, Sri Lanka would have been thinking that they could have been playing party poopers, or Netherlands would have really been hopeful that, they could have been doing something. But once Bangladesh won, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just goes on to show the kind of competition that this is turning out to be. Because when you look at each and every group in Group A, it was anticipated that India and Pakistan might qualify. But then, USA, who had been in great form prior to the tournament, did really, really well in all the games that they have played so far, and even went on to win the two of their games and just lost to India. And in fact, that was a very close game. Then in Group B also, Australia and England qualified, but we all know where England were at one position.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
in Group C, now you have, I think, West Indies and Afghanistan. I think it just turned out to be a group where everyone was surprised with New Zealand's poor show. They were obviously undercooked coming into the tournament, didn't really play a practice game. I think they hadn't really played that much cricket as a team or as a consistent team prior to the mega event also. So that's where I think the West Indies did well as co-hosts, and then Afghanistan really showed that what they are capable of, not just from their batting perspective, but even as a bowling unit also, which is something that has been their strongest suit in the past couple of years, or even since their inception in cricket. And then in Group D, finally you have your two teams, South Africa, who've already qualified with 4 wins in as many matches, and now Bangladesh, who've sealed their third. Uh, I think it's their third consecutive victory in the tournament. So the as it stands, the first group of Super 8 will have India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Australia. And in second group, you'll have South Africa, West Indies, USA, and defending champions England. And if we
Yeah.
have to, just go by the middle perspective, then I think the South Africa group really looks like the group of death.
It is, absolutely. Let's take a couple of comments before calling it quits on this particular live stream. You've got Raj
Yeah.
Dasgupta saying that may the best win and qualify for semis. It'll be a great Super 8 because all teams are looking good and competitive. Agreed. Especially in the current conditions. If these were flat track conditions, you wouldn't be saying that about an Afghanistan or, Bangladesh. But in the kind of conditions you could potentially get, these actually do look like very, very, it looks like a very even keel sort of a Super 8. Mike Madan says so Nepal bottled 2 games continuously. Just Pakistan things. Would love a quadrangular series between South Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. But now the Champions Trophy of the T20 World Cup starts. Yeah, Champions Trophy of the T20 World Cup
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Top 8 teams. That's exactly what you're going to be seeing in this particular case now. And I think it should be, uh, fun to watch. In fact, as Muthu VMR points out, that in his opinion, these are the deserving 8 teams based on their performance. And that's the
Yes.
good thing. I mean, you've seen the best 8 teams qualify. I mean, it would have been a minor upset if the Netherlands say had to make it because they were really the only team that had a chance of playing party spoilers. But
There's
aside from
one
that, I
more.
think hmm,
There's one more team that actually deserved to qualify, and it's Scotland.
Scotland.
They did nothing
Hmm.
wrong, to be very honest. Just had their game against England washed out. They beat Namibia, they beat Oman. and then almost ran, almost got over the line against Australia. Had it not been for that drop catch in the last over, or had it not been for those,
Multiple
just the
drop
last
catches, really.
few runs, yeah, multiple drop catches, and even the last few runs, I would say that they could have got with a bat, things could have been completely different. So yeah, I think Scotland did pretty much everything right. Just it wasn't their luck.
Absolutely. So I think now we know what exactly it looks like, and I think we'll see how exactly it is that the Super 8s go. Of course, we'll be building up to the Super 8s through the day now because we'll get to preview everything, see how exactly it goes. For now, though, Siddharth and me will take your leave. Thank you guys so much for joining us early in the morning, after joining us late at night as well. It's your passion that keeps us going for sure. But we'll take your leave for now. Thank you. Goodbye. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave us a comment. Also, if you haven't already, follow us on social media and download the Sports Pick app right now. From Siddharth and from me, it is goodbye.
Bye.